This is the PR Podcast, a show about how public relations helps you tell your story to the world. We talk with great PR practitioners who have the skills, creativity, and just plain savvy to get their clients noticed. Now here's your host, Jody Fisher.
Hey everyone, and welcome to the PR Podcast. I'm Jody Fisher. Thanks for joining us. Well, did you know we also have a YouTube channel? I know, right? It's only been a minute, and we finally got ourselves together on YouTube. Up to very recently, we only ever posted audio versions of the podcast. So, in other words, anything you heard on Apple or Spotify, you could also hear on YouTube. Well, now you can watch episodes too. We post video versions of our show every Monday on our YouTube channel. Just search the PR Podcast on YouTube, and you can watch us have the conversation with our guests as well as listen to it. And I put some razzle dazzle little video effects in there too. I'm working on it. You know, I'm not a pro video editor, but I'm working on it. Hopefully it's a little more interesting than just hearing it in your ears. But if you're in your car, if you're on the train, you got to listen to it. But if you can watch it, please watch it because I think it's a much better presentation. So check us out on YouTube at the PR Podcast. Now on with our show today, we've got a great guest. Deborah Mitchell is an Emmy-nominated TV live stream producer and video marketing strategist who spent a decade at CBS News' The Early Show. We all watched that, right? She made a professional pivot in 2020 when she left New York City for Orlando, Florida, to be a caregiver for her 95-year-old mom. Love that. Hits me right in the heart. Now, today she uses her producer news skills to help professionals incorporate video storytelling into their digital marketing. She is recently a speaker at the Florida Public Relations Association's newly branded annual professional development conference, the PR and Comms Summit, to discuss the value of strategic video communication and the power of visual marketing. I know we're going to have a great conversation. Deborah Mitchell, welcome to the PR Podcast.
Oh, it's great to be here. Thank you, Jody.
Thank you for being on. Now, full disclosure here, right? We've scheduled this. We had to reschedule it a couple times because you were right in the middle of a hurricane down in Florida, and you were just telling me now that you've recovered and things are going all right.
Things are much better. We were very fortunate, but yes, we got hit twice, Helene and then Milton. And fortunately, in both cases where I am, we were fine. We had power. Spectrum has internet backup, so we were able to reschedule, and I could be here today. But yeah, hopefully we're done with hurricanes. And but we were pretty lucky. So
that's really good to hear, and we cross our fingers that we are done with hurricanes for this year. I think we are. We are. And glad that it wasn't too bad for you. Now, speaking of hurricanes and weather coverage, you were like we said, 10 years at The Early Show on CBS. Tell us about that experience, what you did, and I got to imagine it. You know, there might have been a hurricane or two mixed in there.
Oh my God, Hurricane Katrina happened while I was there. So yes, but yeah, I spent 10 years at The Early Show, which has now been rebranded to CBS Mornings with Gayle King, Nate Burleson, and Tony DeCopel. So yes, I was there during the Bryant Gumbel era. Bryant was a co-host, exactly. And then we had a couple of different hosts through the 10 years that I was there, including Harry Smith, Julie Chen, Renee Seiler. So, you know, it's kind of interesting to go through the same show with different talent every few years because it's like working on a new show. They bring in new energy, new personalities. And so that was very interesting. But there's nothing like working in news. Morning TV is a beast. You're putting together, 2 hours of live television 5 days a week. And then you have the weekend show, which was a separate staff. But it's a lot of work. And we're always looking for stories. And, you know, the 2 hours are broken up into hard news, and then you go into softer, more lifestyle stories. So we're looking for all types of stories. But when you have breaking news, whether it's hurricane, mass shooting, I was there for 9/11, you know, it's a whole different energy. I like to say it's a machine. It is a machine and it doesn't sleep and you're on constantly. So yes, it was an interesting decade. And like I said, I lived through some big stories, covering some big stories.
Yeah, it is definitely people who are at the top of their game, morning network TV. You know, and you can count on one hand the number of opportunities there are in terms of the outlets And it seems like lots of clients want to penetrate that, right? Want to get on morning network TV or even morning cable.
Mhm.
You started to get into, what you're looking for in terms of whether it's hard or soft news, the different
Mhm.
segments, the different recurring features. Do you have any advice for people who want to penetrate that market, who want to get on a morning network TV show? What do they have to bring to the table?
You know what? The first thing I say is know the show, because know what the segments are, what the show looks like, what it feels like. I know the shows have changed in the years that I've left. When I was there, we used to do cooking segments and fashion shows. That's not this, it's not the same anymore. They're really not doing as many of those. So, if you want to be an expert on a news topic, that's what you should concentrate on pitching that particular news segment. If you have it would be great if you have a contact at the show. But if it's your PR person who's doing the pitching, make sure they stay on top of what your main talking points are. The segment's about 3 minutes, 4 minutes long, so you need to be able to tell your story in that amount of time. Um, like I said, if it's a news story that's happening and you feel that you're the best guest for it, try and get in during that time when the news is happening, when it's that moment. It's election season now. So if you want to talk about certain election topics, this is the time for you to try and get on the show. So try and remain topical and again, know the show that you're pitching to.
How far out should people be approaching any given morning show? Is it 2 weeks? Is it a month? How far out are you planning?
You know what? It depends on the topic. Some show, certain segments are going to come around because it's a calendar year. So the holiday season is coming. So producers are going to start talking about holiday segments, I would say a month in advance. So because it depends on the type of topic story that you're pitching. If it's something that requires a lot of production, whether it's going out in the field and shooting the story, or if you just want to be live in the studio, that's a whole different type of production. So think about what kind of segment you want it to be or it's going to be, and then think about pitching it to the producer, I would say at least a month in advance.
All right, 30 days out. That's good
Mhm.
advice. And in
Yeah.
terms of the who you're going to, are you going after a segment producer? You're obviously not emailing one of the anchors or, a member of the talent. So who are you trying to get to?
Well, you're trying to get to the producer, but listen, if you have an in with the talent, use whatever you in, whatever in you have. You might know the makeup person of that particular talent. So,
That's
you know,
probably a really good in. If you
yeah,
know the
that's
makeup person,
the makeup
because
person,
they got what unrestricted access to the talent for at least 30 minutes a day, right?
exactly. So, it all depends on who. No, seriously though, but it's really about, if you can get into talent, that'd be great. But the producer is the one who you should try and get. So if there's a way for you to find out who the book producer is, who the celebrity producer is, so most producers have a particular beat. So if it's great to see if you could find out that producer's name, I would say try and call the main desk of the show and ask the person answering the phone. It's usually a PA, an intern. You can ask, who would I pitch this to? And you'd be surprised. A lot of times you could get their email address or their phone number or get connected to them. It's very hard to get a producer on the phone. They're busy. We were so busy. However, one of the things I was always proud of is I was able to call uh PR people back. Even it may have taken a little while, but I always got back to them. And then there were some PR people who their pitch was so on point that I knew I was going to do the segment. So that's something that you really need to make sure that your producer is putting the pitch together in a way that's clear, that the producer understands what the pitch is, what your talking points are, what visuals, elements you have to add to the story. Lay it all out for them, because it makes it easier for them to take it to their boss and to pitch it. So I would, yeah, definitely make sure that it's together.
It's funny because it also, to you and me, right? This all sounds like PR 101. That's what we do with any pitch, no matter who we're pitching it to, right? No matter what outlet. It's the same basic stuff, but people seem to get it in their head about network TV for some reason, that there's some extra secret sauce to it. It's really not it, right?
No, there's no extra sauce. And today everything is on social media. So reach out to the producer, follow the producer on their social media, out to them on LinkedIn. Don't be obnoxious. Don't be a nudge. Don't overdo it, but reach out to them, put your pitch in. They might call you back because now they're using their social media, or they're on social media all the time. So they're accessible. But back when I was producing, we were not as accessible. You really had to rely on the producer calling you back. Either you had the producer's direct number, or you could email them and they get back to you. But now they're on social media, so you can definitely get to them. There's so many other ways to get to them.
Great advice. Great advice. And of course, perseverance too, right? Don't
First,
don't stop at
gotta
the first no.
exactly. You got to persevere. And if you do get a no, ask the producer, what could I do differently? What is there anything that you liked, anything that I could tweak in the next pitch? Because we do need your ideas. We have to feed this beast that is television. So we're looking for good ideas, and it helps when the ideas come to us, either I like to say fully baked or almost baked, and you just kind of tweak it a little bit and you're like, okay, I can see this pitch on this idea on our show. This is a segment.
I love it. Thank you for sharing all that, because I think it's really valuable advice, and it's part of what we try to do here on the show is give people that inside track on, hey, here's how you do it. Here's what you can do. It's not as complicated as you think it is, but
Mhm.
you gotta give it some work.
Yes, you gotta
That's
work. Have
great.
a
That's
plan, a
great.
strategy, and then execute. Yes.
Now, as exciting as that life may have been for you, and it sounds like it was thrilling, I worked in news and I loved it.
Mhm.
But you made a choice to walk away from that. Could you share with us about why you chose to do that, and what went into that decision?
Well, I left CBS, let's see, 2010. And it was during a time when there was changeover in the management of the show. So there was just a lot of change in general, but the industry was changing. Social media was really just coming into its own. Once I was out of network, I saw what was going on with social media and how important it was becoming. So I decided to put my energies in developing my social media skills, because I thought those skills combined with my journalism skills, it would be a no-brainer. And it has evolved into that. I mean, the producers now who grew up with it studying social media in school, it has helped them tremendously, because that's where we are. I decided to work on my company. I started working with individuals to help them get better at social media, create a presence on social media. And then 2020 came around and the pandemic hit. And so I had to come to Florida. I came to Florida to be closer to my elderly mom. And I'm glad I'm here with her. I'm glad I could be here. But I had to make a professional pivot, a personal pivot during that time. And so now I've transferred my skills to working with businesses online. I work with businesses. Before the pandemic, people didn't even realize you could really have a flush business being in digital. The pandemic opened that up. We were all online. We made it work. And so now businesses see that you can do business, you can have a digital presence. And so that's where I'm spending my time. So I'm glad you're on YouTube. Congratulations on that, because video and yeah, video is where it is, and having a YouTube channel is very important. So kudos to you for getting your
Oh,
video.
well, thank you very much. Like I said, I've been on YouTube for a very long time, but the show is just sort of catching up. And
Hmm.
there are only so many hours in my work week, as I'm sure you can appreciate.
Yes, yes, juggling a lot of balls. Yes.
Yeah, for sure. So tell us a little bit more about the business that you developed, the sort of the where you focus, the types of clients you work with, and how you help them get to their business goals with what you do.
Okay, so right now, first of all, video is key when it comes to marketing. Audiences enjoy video much more than text. So text used to be how we got the message through in our social media. Now it's video. Everyone is adding video, whether it's TikTok, Reels, carousels. Video is more engaging and people like it. So I'm encouraging businesses to incorporate more video storytelling in their digital marketing. And how it came about is, again, this pandemic happened, and we were all online on Zoom, and I was losing my mind. I was like, "Oh my God, I'm gonna go crazy." We were just all staring at each other, just talking, and people are learning how to use it. And I knew that there was a way to just make it more engaging, just based on my TV background. So I started to talk to different friends and business people and say, well, let's try. You can't go on tour with your book. Let's do a virtual book tour. So that's pretty much how it launched. And I started working with Dr. Mark Plotkin, who's the president and founder of the Amazon Conservation Team. And he had a book coming out in 2020. And we did a book launch virtually during the pandemic, and it went really well. And he launched a podcast after that. And the podcast has been going along. We just made 1 million downloads this summer. So that's the win. That's the win. The win and the data that shows that it works. It's over time. It didn't happen yesterday. It didn't happen immediately. It's over time. So we were persistent, consistent, and we made 1 million downloads.
Yeah, the overnight success that takes several years, right?
Yes, exactly. So
And suddenly you pop your head up and you're wildly popular. But that's great. That's terrific
Mhm.
that you took us through that story. Are there ways that you think that clients can either get started in what you're talking about, video, digital marketing, digital storytelling, or if you're already in that pool, how can you
Mhm.
enhance your game in that? Are there strategies you use with your clients?
Oh, well, if you're not in the game yet, I say you just got to get started. Whether it's posting video once a week, um, once I would say once a week is great. Take your time. A lot of people, what I'm finding is a lot of people are nervous about being on camera. You're very comfortable. You're a pro at it, but a lot of people are nervous. So practice. Take your time. Shoot short videos and review yourself before you post it. But take your time, practice, speak slowly. You're the expert. So, as the expert, you know the information. And that's what you always need to remember. You are the expert. So, yes, it will come naturally. It may take a little practice. Some people are just born naturals on camera, but sometimes it takes a little practice. But start to post. Just you got to start from someplace. My yoga teacher always says the first one is the hardest, which is true.
Yeah, there's
Mhm.
no doubt about that. And I got to tell you, I probably lurked for about 6 months on TikTok before I even posted something. I
Yeah.
did a lot of watching of other people and how they did it before I sort of stumbled on a formula. And I said, okay, I'm going to try it this way. And
Mhm.
even after I started it, and I'm just specifically talking about TikTok because I'm Gen X and that's probably the most foreign platform to me.
Mhm.
Although there's a lot of Gen X on TikTok. Um, it developed over time too, and I became, to your point, more comfortable with what
Yeah.
I was doing.
Yeah.
Um,
And if you're
the
already established, going back to your question, if you're already established and you want to scale and elevate it, that's where longer form video comes in. Longer forms, similar to what we're doing now, a 30-minute podcast where you're interviewing guests. You can have the podcast and be the solo host, but you feel comfortable enough, have a guest on. And then you're having a one-on-one conversation, not one-on-one, but you're having a conversation, and it's less pressure off of you. You're inviting another guest in your space. You're inviting that guest audience into your pool of people. So you're really collaborating and broadening your reach as far as who you're getting to. Because once this interview goes up, I'm going to put it on my social media. So my audience is going to see you, follow you. So it's a great way to expand your audience if you're already doing it. I say longer form video, and you repurpose that video into shorter snippets for the other parts of your social media.
oh, I love that step two there, taking the content and turning it into more content, right? Talk about that a little bit more.
Yeah, repurposing is so important because, first of all, it's very cost efficient because if you shoot a long form video, whether it's 30 minutes to an hour, you have that video in the can. You can put it through, there are several tools out there, whether it's Opus, Clips, or I think CapCut also, but you can put that video in and it edits the longer form video into shorter form video, which you can post on your TikTok, you can post on your Facebook, your X, formerly Twitter. So it's just time. It's just efficient as far as time is concerned because people are busy. They don't have a lot of time to shoot different lengths of video. So if you shoot one long form, cut it up into snippets, you may have video for 2 weeks, a month.
What a great strategy. I love that. And I try to do that myself actually too. It's a brilliant strategy. I also love what you said about having a conversation, doing an interview with two people, as opposed to trying to be a subject matter expert and just staring right into a camera. I
Yeah.
typically describe a TV interview as probably the most awkward thing a human being can do, right? Actually, it's just weird, right? It's the weirdest
Yes,
thing to have a big camera pointed at you with a light and a whole thing. It's like normal people don't do this.
it's true.
Um, but being interviewed or having a conversation like this
Mm,
can also, I think, take the pressure off of creating those videos. Because I think as humans, we probably put a lot of pressure on us to say, "Oh, I didn't say that quite right," or "Oh,
right.
gee, I didn't." And turning that into a conversation instead allows you to maybe flub or maybe mess up a word and still be genuine, authentic, right?
Yep, you're absolutely right. It is people feel this pressure to be perfect, and it's just not realistic. You're not going to be perfect. So when you have someone else talking and having a conversation, it does take the pressure off. And we know, especially when you're talking about TV, those 3, 4 minutes can go by really quickly. So when you have someone guiding the conversation, you'd be surprised how much information you can get out in that short amount of time. And you're really just having fun, and you forget about how quickly the time is going. So yeah, no, you're absolutely right.
I love it. I love it. Give us a little insight too into that talk you just did with PRSA about the value
Oh,
of
yeah.
strategic video communication. Were there any little nuggets you can leave behind for us that you presented there?
Oh my God, that was so much fun. So that was in Tampa this August, and I talked a lot about what we're talking about here. The for business owners specifically, there's a sales funnel. I don't know what your sale if you have a sales background, but there's the funnel. So you start with the awareness phase, the consideration phase, the decision phase, the action phase of how consumers purchase. So I was talking to them about how you can use video in those different stages of the sales process. The awareness stage, they don't know who you are. So that's your opportunity to use educational video. Little your snippets, your 30-second snippets or 1 minute snippets could be educational about who you are as a business. Then the second stage is consideration. You might want to tell them a little bit about your team and how your team works. So you put that in that video. So I was pretty much focusing on the different content, the ways you can use video content in the different stages of the sales funnel. And testimonials from your video testimonials from your clients. That's a great, everyone likes to feel as though, oh, someone is recommending this particular brand or person before you work with them or use them. So that's a great place for you to put testimonial videos. So that could be in your consideration or your decision stage or your action stage. So that's what I was talking to them about, the different stages of the sales funnel. So that's one, and a lot of people were surprised. They hadn't thought about it in that way. I said, yeah, uh, putting together video is really great, but it's really about having a plan before you record the video, having a strategy of how you want to use the video, why you're creating the video, and then executing it. That way, you're being very efficient in the way that you are putting together your video marketing campaign.
I love it. I love it. Such great advice, Deborah. Thank you so much for being on the show today. If you weren't taking notes, go back, play it again, and take some notes because Deborah's got it down here. And thank you so much. We're not letting you go yet, though, Deborah. We are going to segue
Okay.
now into the
Mm-hmm.
rapid fire question portion of our podcast. This is where we steal a page from inside the actor's studio. We ask our guests a series of rapid fire questions meant to elicit a simple answer, maybe a laugh or two. With your indulgence, Deborah Mitchell, let's begin with rapid fire question number one. What is your favorite news source?
Oh my God, you're gonna make me choose. I'm not so happy with a lot of the news, but I'm gonna say CBS because that's where I was. CBS. I turn on CBS this morning, and that's where I still watch. I was there. I still watch it.
I have a soft spot in my heart for CBS as well. I was a reporter for the local all news station in New York City for a bunch of years. So
Oh, wow. See, so okay, yeah,
there you go.
that's
It's just that's where it at. That's where it's
that's
at. Nothing against anybody else, but
yeah.
there it is. All right, this is all about you though. Rapid fire
Okay.
question number two. What's your favorite social media platform?
Oh, that's so funny. I'm really just getting into LinkedIn. I'm really people don't think of it as a social media platform, but it really is. They just started using video. They're rolling out short form video. So it's definitely gone through a change in the 20 years that it's been around. And so LinkedIn is, yeah, I'm going, that's where my clients are, LinkedIn.
I like it. I like it.
Mhm.
Rapid fire question number 3, coffee or alcohol?
This is a tough one. I gotta have my cup of coffee in the morning, but I do like a glass of prosecco in the evening. So two.
Bit of both. Bit
Uh-huh.
of both, as they say. All
Bit of
right. That
both.
sounds
Yeah.
good. Rapid fire question number 3. What's your favorite on the run food?
On the run. Okay, so I usually cook. Okay, can I have two? I have to be one. Two? Okay. So when I cook, I like to, I'm Jamaican. So a Jamaican patty, I'll heat it up, take it with me. But if I'm if I'm out and about and I don't have that, I'll run in and get a sushi or sushi roll. I love sushi. Hmm.
That sounds good. All right. And
Yeah.
rapid fire question number 5. What do you want to be after you finish this career?
Retired. Lying on the beach somewhere.
That's what I was about to ask. You're all right. You're a beach girl. Great.
Yes, I'm a beach girl. Yes, I scuba dive. I'm a beach girl. So yes, that's where I want to be, on the beach someplace.
You got a specific beach in mind?
I'm working on it. I want to go to as many as I can.
That is the best plan of all. All right, Deborah Mitchell, thank you so much for joining us. It's been a great conversation. Please let people know how they can find you online.
Oh, so my website is Deborah Mitchell Media Associates.com. Social, I would say look for me on LinkedIn. And then yeah, I am a guest, the regular guest host on the show, the podcast Your Business in Digital. So where we talk about digital marketing. So you can find me there talking about video marketing.
That sounds great. We'll put all the links in the show notes. And thanks again, Deborah, for joining us. And thank you, everyone, for listening. Please remember to subscribe to the show, connect with us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok at the PR Podcast, and send us a question or a comment. Our intro is by Christopher Apple. You can find him and his fantastic photography on Instagram at Christopher_APPOLDT. Check him out there and hire him for all your photography needs. You can find me online at Jody Fisher on all the socials and on the web at jodyfisherpr.com. We'll see you next time on the PR Podcast.